Greenpeace has set up a lobbyist for the ExxonMobil corporation, and he got him to think that he was recruiting him for a position, but instead they were recording it, and he has exposed things that we've been thinking and saying here, but that hasn't yet had, we haven't had the proof. We haven't heard it from the horse's mouth, and this is the horse's mouth.
And Joe Manchin is mentioned.
Go with the first one.
Hi, good to see you.
How are you?
Moments later, Mr. McCoy will become one of the first ever executives to claim that ExxonMobil has aggressively fought climate science using front organizations to maximize shareholder profit.
Did we aggressively fight against some of the science? Yes. Did we join some of these shadow groups to work against some of the early efforts? Yes, that's true. But there's nothing illegal about that. You know, we were looking out for our investments. We were looking out for our shareholders.
In response, Exxon said, "We've supported climate science for decades," and accused Greenpeace of waging a multi-decade campaign against them and the industry. Keith McCoy thinks he's being headhunted for a new job. In fact, of course, he's being covertly filmed. Congressmen are fish. Exxon is the fisherman.
When you have an opportunity to talk to a member of Congress, you know, you know, I liken it to fishing, right? You know, you have bait, you throw that bait out, you know, it's all these opportunities that you use, and to use the fishing analogy again, just to kind of reel them in, because they're a captive audience. They know they need you and I need them.
Senators pressed to do Exxon's bidding behind closed doors.
You want to be able to go to the chief, and so that the chief knows you, that you can go to the chief and say, look, we've got this issue. We need Congressman so-and-so to be able to either introduce this bill. We need him to make a floor statement. We need him to send a letter. You name it. We've asked for everything.
So who are the fish?
I'm Joe Manchin. I approve this act because
The biggest catch, according to Mr. Coy, it's the conservative Democrat Senator Joe Manchin, who famously shot President Obama's cap-and-trade climate bill.
And I'll take dead aim at the cap-and-trade bill.
Joe Manchin, I talk to his office every week. He is the kingmaker, and he's not shy about sort of staking his claim early and completely changing the debate.
Legal declarations show that Senator Manchin has received tens of thousands of dollars from ExxonMobil and its trade associations. Keith McCoy names 10 other senators as crucial to ExxonMobil. Senators Mark Kelly, Chris Coons, Shelley Moore Capito, Kirsten Sinema, John Tester, Maggie Hassan, John Barrasso, Steve Daines, John Cornyn, and Marco Rubio. All bar Kelly and Hassan have taken money from Exxon totaling $117,000. We gave all these senators a chance to respond. None did so. Exxon insists our lobbying efforts are fully compliant with all laws and are publicly disclosed on a quarterly basis. Nonetheless, a degree of secrecy appears to be key. The last thing Exxon seems to want is open accountability, facing Congress in public.
We don't want it to be us to have these conversations, especially in a hearing. It's getting our associations to step in and have those conversations and answer those tough questions and be the for lack of a better term, the whipping boy for some of these members of Congress.
So he says they hide behind trade bodies to avoid public scrutiny on the Hill.
Our CEO was invited to a hearing from a member of Congress who we know is just going to rip him to shreds when he goes there. The main thing that they're looking at is just to get ExxonMobil in front of a congressional hearing so they can rip us apart.
Big oil, big power, big pressure. The route from the K Street lobbyist offices to Capitol Hill is very well trodden. From the street to the Hill, we can now reveal the current ExxonMobil battleground and strategy.
It's big, yes. It's bold, yes. And we can get it done.
Just last week, as America continues to suffer heat waves described as apocalyptic and linked to the current climate crisis, President Biden fought to get Congress to pass his $2 trillion showpiece law, linking jobs and infrastructure to massive spending to combat climate change. On Capitol Hill, though, Exxon was also fighting to strip out spending on climate. Forget that, it lobbied. Stick to roads and bridges.
So that's a completely different conversation. When you start to stick to roads and bridges, and instead of a $2 trillion bill, it's an $800 billion bill. If you lower that threshold, you stick to highways and bridges, then a lot of the negative stuff starts to come out. Why would you put in something on emissions reductions on climate change to oil refineries in a highway bill? So, and people say, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. So then you get to the germaneness and say that shouldn't be in this bill.
Sure enough, last week Biden's behemoth bill evaporated. A new law may be agreed, but major green initiatives are gone. Coincidence? Or the big oil effect? Nothing illegal, just oiling the wheels of power.
And that reveals a whole playbook of how they're acting, and it's not surprising to us. I think, but it is so amazing to hear this so cynically put in words by a lobbyist, and people like that, in my opinion, should be trialed and executed, because they're the reason we're having this issue. Not
they are climate terrorists.
Absolutely.
I could not be a politician. I did the little math calculation watching this, and like my soul, this soul here, it's worth more than $10,000. I'm sorry. A goddamn oil company has billions of dollars, and they buy our politicians for $10,000 a piece and ruin and basically, sell us down the river.
Well, some of it you don't see. Some of that money you don't see because it's funneled through PACs and other groups of supposedly independent that are running ads.
Do you know what I would do, and get even more money out of it? I would make it public. Social media. Look, these motherfuckers contacted me, they want to buy me. They offered me this amount,
Right, but
can
you
you
never
top
get
this?
offers like that by people who are who would do that. Like, you can't imagine them offering AOC or someone like that to buy them off.
Alexandria Ocasio? Come on.
No, I don't think they would go with that. Anyway, here's the next one, talking about forever chemicals, which are the chemicals, like if you've watched the movie Dark Waters, those Teflon production materials that got into the water and literally poisoned an entire region. Here it goes.
Tonight, more major revelations. First, America's biggest oil company secretly uses what are known as forever chemicals. They're used by industry in everything from non-stick pans through waterproof clothing to cosmetics, even though safer alternatives now exist. Per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, PFAS, linked by independent research to cancer, hormone disruption, weakened immunity, and they're called forever chemicals because they stay in the environment forever.
We manufacture PFAS, the chemical. We use it in our firefighting equipment.
A dramatic disclosure that the company uses forever chemicals, so toxic they've become the stuff of Hollywood.
How many did you lose?
190.
190 cows.
You tell me nothing's wrong here.
The film Dark Waters, the true story of a town contaminated by these forever chemicals. But forget Hollywood. Just this week, the US president addressed the scourge of forever chemical pollution across America.
We're also going to surge federal resources to help address the forever chemicals, not just here, but all across America.
there's no cleaning it up. So, I mean,
So this is Keith McCoy, a senior ExxonMobil lobbyist on Capitol Hill, being covertly recorded by Greenpeace UK, who suddenly realized he's just made a dramatic claim.
Do people know that Exxon makes that chemical at all? No one knows.
Nope.
So
Nobody.
Yesterday, ExxonMobil flatly denied actually making forever chemicals. Today they clarified, saying they do use forever chemicals in some of their products.
You've managed to lobby successfully on that while keeping it completely.
The good thing is that the debate isn't who makes it. There isn't the debate right now about who manufactures it, thankfully.
That's because ExxonMobil covertly killed the debate in Congress. How? Well, first they saw approaching danger, a Congress about to pass laws on forever chemicals.
And we're like, holy crap, this is legislation, this is a chemical that we manufacture, this is a chemical that we use. If word got out that ExxonMobil manufactured those chemicals, it's a talking point. Yeah. It becomes the ExxonMobil chemical. Then all of a sudden, they start talking about how this is an ExxonMobil chemical and ExxonMobil is poisoning our waterways. The debate's pretty much over.
So that public scrutiny had to be stopped fast. They needed someone to stamp it out. So send in the faceless trade body. Cue the powerful American Petroleum Institute, the API.
So API goes up to the Hill as API with coalitions. It's just associations, no companies. But the public face of it are the associations. They go to the Hill, and that tamps down the rhetoric. It tamps down the excitement.
And the prize, pressure Congress to kick the can down the road, delay laws on forever chemicals by commissioning a study.
Lo and behold, we got a study, we got it passed. And that completely lowered the temperature. There's been very little talk about PFAS.
Take risks.
The API told Channel 4 News they're out front and transparent about where the oil and gas industry stands on policy issues.
I think this guy is probably not going to be employed much longer. The ExxonMobil CEO has kind of distanced himself and said he was shocked to watch this and such, but we all know what the truth of it is. This guy is telling it as it is.
Yes, it was very important for them, to emphasize that everything they were doing is legal, and there was nothing illegal done.
Yeah, of course,
and
it's
nothing
legal,
illegal will ever be done, and bullshit,
Yeah, it's legal, but it's completely.
Who makes the rules? That's the question, That who makes the rules that this might be legal?
And he's also laid out the whole delay tactic. How they had they come up with like a supposedly independent PAC. They pretend that they're supporting the environment and they're meeting with the congressmen and so forth, and then they're pushing for a study to be conducted to better understand and respond to the issues. And then that takes the heat off it. It goes into the back end. It further delays the whole process, and that's exactly what they want. And these supposed organizations, even the industry itself, ExxonMobil, they claimed, and we touched on this when we were talking about the carbon tax. We said that was kind of surprising that they were behind it, and we had some theories. He actually exposed what we said back like a couple of weeks ago, and said that it was a PR move. This is all like just to do it in the front end. While they don't believe that it's ever going to happen, they have enough brakes and levers to stop it from happening, so they're pretending they're all for it to put on a positive face. And he actually says that word for word in this interview. So
I mean, a couple of weeks ago when this came up and I saw the brands, you saw my reaction. This could not be true.
Yeah.
Best government money can buy.
Yep. yes, we saw this. Yeah, Cinema, Rubio, Manchin, you know, to name the most prominent.
Yeah,
they're all in it.
And here's the Congress. The congressman says, "I solemnly swear that I will protect and defend the Constitution of the United States." The lobbyist says, "And I solemnly swear that I will not give him any more money if he doesn't." So
yes, and I remember in this context, I remember there is an old video on YouTube, you know, where it shows Ronald Reagan at his time, you know, being president. You know, you're getting orders from a little guy, you know, who turned out to be one of the representatives of General Electric. You know, they already got him in the pocket.
yeah.